And joining us now here on In the Circle, she's the new head coach at Stetson, a DeLand native, two-time ASUN Player of the Year, where she played at USC Up State, and PF great as well. Shellie Robinson joining us here on In the Circle. How's it going, Coach?
Hey, Eric, I'm doing well. I appreciate you having us. And I'm just excited to be on here with you guys.
Let's talk about your new title, head coach at Stetson. Has it sunk in?
I don't think not quite yet. I've been here for 2 years as an assistant. And so I think once the girls get back on campus and we get, going with practice and all that good stuff, I think that's when it'll start to sink in a little bit more.
Just take us through that process. Obviously, Coach Griffin deciding to retire after 25 years back a few months ago. Just take us through that process from your standpoint, because you've got a lot to think about. And you're obviously interested maybe being in the head coaching job, but obviously you were the assistant. You're on the staff. So no matter what happens, you're going to get affected one way or the other. So what was the process like for you over the last couple of months?
Yeah, it was kind of bittersweet for Coach to retire, 25 years here at Stetson. He pretty much built this stadium. He left a really nice legacy. And so, that was nice to be able to be here for the past 2 years and learn from him, and grow from him, just to be around him, to be with him more as a person than as a coach or as somebody that was recruiting me. So that was a fun process the last couple of years. But once he retired, it was just a lot of preparation for me. I knew that coming in that I wanted to be the next head coach here at Stetson. And so for me, it was prepping for the interviews, prepping for the application, continuing to do all of the work that the coaching staff would normally do, recruiting, equipment orders, all that good stuff, while preparing to be interviewed for this spot. And so it was a long process, but it was a good process. Having never been through a head coach interview before, whether I came out on the good end of it or the bad end of it, it was a really good experience for me, and something that I'm glad I got to experience. And obviously, I'm happy with the result, being the next head coach. But I learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about the program and my vision for it, and where we want to take it. And it was stressful, but it was good. I guess that's the best way I can put it. And it really solidified the fact that I want to be here. I want to be at Stetson. Obviously, DeLand's my hometown, so it's somewhere that I grew up, and I just have a passion for it. The university, the team, everything about it.
What did you learn from Coach Griffin during the 2 years here? And you probably have known him for a long time. You mentioned you grew up in DeLand, so just talk about Coach Griffin and his legacy there, and what maybe you learned from him that you'll take with you in your coaching career.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you're under different coaches, you learn how they coach. What are their things that they do that you want to pick up on? And for Coach Griffin, it was very old school, and I like to think of myself as an old school coach as well. Obviously, adapting with the times and all that good stuff. But for him, it was just be good people, create good people to leave here, and be successful in their career fields. Care about the person more than the athlete. He would do anything for those girls, whether it's picking them up financially, helping them on the field, whatever he can do. So he really shared how he cared for those athletes. And I knew coming in, I'm passionate about this sport. I'm passionate about coaching, but he really showed me, hey, care about these athletes more as people than as players. And then obviously on the field, he had a lot of knowledge as far as pitching. He was a fast pitch pitcher growing up, when he was coming through. So I learned a little bit from that. I worked with the pitchers the last year and a half. So just kind of picking his brain on what worked for him, what has worked for him teaching these pitchers in the past, and things like that. And then just little hitting techniques here and there, that I would pick his brain about. But overall, it was just, show them that you care, show them that you love them, and you'll be good.
Did you have a chance to talk to him once you got the job? Has he offered any advice?
Absolutely. I called him when I found out. The next day, I think, I called him. He was super excited, and just like he always was, call me if you need anything. Let me know if I can come and build something for you. If you need new lockers, if you need anything, just where to find me. So it's always been that relationship with him. where I could just pick up the phone and if I needed him, he'd come.
You're a DeLand native, as I mentioned. So you grew up around this program. You probably watched it. You probably maybe gone to camps at some point when you were young. I mean, just take us through that journey when you grow up in the area. What was it like growing up in the area? You and Chipper Jones, probably the two big famous celebs, right? We'll go with that as DeLand natives. But what was it like growing up around this program that could probably help you now moving forward, taking over the program?
Yeah, I grew up 10 minutes from Stetson University. So I knew Stetson. My travel ball team that I played with when I was little was the Little Lady Hatters. And so Stetson's always been a part of my life. We played our district championship here. I think it was my sophomore year in high school, maybe my freshman year in high school. So that's when I really was introduced to Stetson softball, got to play on their field, got to kind of interact with the staff a little bit. But for me, it was just being in the community, being, DeLand High alum, all that type of stuff. And then when I chose my college journey, it was just, I wanted to get away, honestly, small town. I wanted to kind of see what else was out there. And I think that was probably the best decision for me. Because I don't think I'd be sitting here right now with you if I had not chosen that path that I had gone on. But I think it's a cool little story, DeLand's an awesome place, and in the back of my mind, I always thought that I would come back, but I always said I wouldn't come back unless it was for a position at Stetson. So when Frank called me up, I guess it was 3 years ago now, and asked me to be his assistant, it was a no-brainer for me.
What was it like coming back to DeLand after being away for a little bit, as you mentioned? And I've always had coaches tell me that sometimes they advise either assistants or former players, hey, go somewhere else, learn something different city, different philosophies, and then, come back, right? Does that kind of apply to you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Went to USC Up State in Spartanburg, South Carolina. So I learned from Coach Hawkins, Coach Pack, Rick Pauley, Kinsey Roark. They were all coaches there while I was playing. And then I got the opportunity to go play in the NPF, which I was learning and playing against the best of the best, coaches from everywhere, players from everywhere. And then I coached at North Greenville University under Sarah Hall for 3 years. So that was a good learning experience. I got my master's and kind of got my foot in the door, coaching wise. And then I moved over to Furman University for a year, which is in Division I in Greenville, South Carolina. So that kind of got my foot in the door Division I wise. But again, just learning from a different coach. Wally King was there, learned from him. Also different aspects of the different universities, things like that. And I think all of that kind of helped round me out to get me back here, learning from so many different people, being able to grow, being able to mature, all that good stuff. I think all of that played a factor in get me back to DeLand and back to Stetson University.
When did you decide you wanted to get into coaching? I mean, you will get into your great playing career in a little bit, but when did you decide, hey, I wanted to get into coaching? Was that always something you wanted to do? Did it just happen? Like, just talk about how you decided to get into the coaching standpoint side of things.
Yeah, so I actually went into college as a pre-pharm major. So I thought I was going to be a pharmacist, sit behind a desk and count pills. Very quickly, first semester of college, I realized that probably wasn't the best path for me. And so I went into an exercise science major undergrad. Just really, really enjoyed that, really enjoyed learning about all of that encompasses that major. And then when I graduated, I was looking to be a GA somewhere. So I got my master's degree. And I got into coaching at North Greenville, like I said earlier. And right away, like I've always had a passion for the game. I've always had a passion for people and being around people. But that really solidified it those first couple of years. And they were tough. It's always tough transitioning into that role as a coach, more so as a player. You see the background of things a lot. But I knew right away within that first year that this is what I wanted to do. This is what I had a passion for. This was my calling, if you will, was to be a coach. It's just really, for me, being around these athletes is the most joyful part of my job. And I think that's really what motivates me to get up every morning is, okay, I get to go to work and I get to play on dirt and be around good people and teach and lead these athletes to be good people. So it's within that first year, I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Having been around the Stetson program, you've even seen it as a player, the success that you could have at Stetson there. I mean, obviously they went to the regionals few years back when Meredith Owen, the great Meredith Owen, was there back in 2014. They've had success there. Great facilities, which we'll get into. Obviously, the baseball program has had so much great success under, of course, back at the legendary Pete Dunn, and then most recently with Steve Trimper and Stetson getting to a super regional. Lynn Bria and the job she's done at women's basketball, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's got to, you got to be excited about that, about the ability to be able to win at Stetson as well, and knowing the community that supports it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a lot of history here, not just softball, but all sports in general. And that gets me excited. We have had success here at softball, winning in 2007 and in 2014 and having really good seasons, throughout there. So definitely have the ability to win here. Like you said, great facilities, great location, 30 minutes from the beach, 45 minutes from Orlando. So recruiting wise, it's nice for me. We'll say that. And so the ability to win here is very attainable. And I'm excited to get started with the current athletes that we have, the recruiting class that we got coming in next year, and then just moving forward and just developing each and every year with who we've got coming in and, what we can do. So it's exciting for me. And I'm really, really excited to get going.
Yeah, I think you faced Meredith Owen, right? Did you face her? What?
I did all 4 years.
Holy smokes, that's right. That was like kind of like the years with the ASUN were like a multi-bid league there. You were obviously with Upstate at the time in the league. What was that like to face her and face Stetson and those teams in particular? You've seen him at the top there, but she was an incredible player, maybe arguably one of the best, if not the best in the history of the program.
Yeah, she was amazing. She wasn't pitching, she was dropping bombs and doing what she could to help her team out. So it was always fun to play Stetson. It's your hometown team, so I think I got up a little bit more for those games. But it was always good competition and always, exciting to play against them, exciting to see Coach Griffin and his staff and just kind of catch up with them. But the ASUN we were very competitive, as we still are now. Adding those 3 teams, we've got 12 teams now in the ASUN, but always very competitive. I know my junior year, we sent 2 bids into the regionals on top of the automatic bid that Stetson got for winning it. It was USC Up State, Stetson, and I believe it was Kennesaw.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, or Lipscomb. I think it might have been Lipscomb. All got bids, and that was the first time in history that an ASUN had sent 3 teams to a regional. So that was really cool to be a part of, just as a conference, just to know that, hey, we're competing. We can compete at this level, and now we're going to get three bids to regionals. Was really cool for the conference as a whole.
And now, fast forward here, the league is as big as it's ever been with now realignment, some big time programs coming in, 3 new programs coming in. Liberty, obviously, and their success they've had under Dot Richardson. We've had her on, obviously. And then, of course, Kennesaw making the tournament. It was a 2-bid league last year. And a league that I know, and I've talked to coaches around the league, and I'm sure you've talked to the coaches, that you all probably have a chip on your shoulder because you feel that you should be getting more respect as a league, right?
Yeah, I think we're heading in the right direction. I think it's a lot about your non-conference schedule and who you're playing. And for us in the 22 schedule, we've got a couple really good teams that we're going to be playing against. I won't give anything away, but I'm really excited to play a competitive non-conference schedule. Because at the end of the day, to be the best, you got to play the best. And for us, we're young, little inexperienced because we are so young, but I'm going to put them on that stage. I'm going to challenge them and I'm going to tell them, go compete. And at the end of the day, if you did what you could, then win or lose, we did us. We competed, we were challenged, and at the end of the day, we can feel good about it, win or lose.
Obviously, being on the staff, you have an advantage here as a new head coach that you know your roster. It's not like other coaches that have to kind of learn their rosters. Just tell us a little bit about the roster, how you feel about it going in here as you get to start the fall here and as you're building the pieces here.
Yeah, I've spoke with the team multiple times. I was in contact with them all summer prior to getting the promotion to head coach, and they're excited. They're excited to get started. They're excited to kind of change up the culture a little bit, buy into what we want to do, and just kind of change our mindset. A lot of different factors in the last couple of years that came into play, and I think they're ready to get going. I think they're as ready as I am. They're excited. They want to get to work. They want to be challenged. They want to be in a competitive environment. And so I think our current roster now has the capability to win a lot of games and to compete in the ASUN and well into the conference tournament. So we're ready to go. We did 2 weeks from this past Monday, and I know they're itching to get out on the field.
And you play in a facility that's one of the best in college softball in the state. I'm not just saying that because you're on. I've been there before. It's been recognized as one of the best fields. And just tell us, what is it like to be at a Patricia Wilson Field, which is what I speak of? It's won National Field of the Year awards. It's a beautiful stadium. I've been there many a times. Describe what it's like to have been played there, and obviously now get to coach there.
Oh, it's awesome. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of people working together. It's the team helping out. It's our field crew. We're getting a new field crew this year. Pup, who's been here for 7-10 years. He retired as well. So just keeping that legacy alive that he and Coach Griffin worked so hard to build. And it's a fun experience. You love playing on good fields, and my athletes know every day that they're a little bit spoiled with their facilities and what they get to play on day in and day out. And so it's really a team effort to keep it looking the way that it does. Not just the field, but their surrounding areas, and the girls wake up and they're grateful to be able to play here and say that they're a Stetson softball student athlete. So it's fun.
I mean, it's huge from a recruiting standpoint. You know this now. I mean, the facilities are such a big factor in recruiting, and at least you've got a head start with the stadium. I mean, obviously there's always things you could tweak and things like that, but just to have a stadium like that to show off the recruits is huge.
Absolutely. That, and the fact that we're a very high academic school. But if we can get athletes on campus and see the facilities and see the university as a whole, it's a really good recruiting tool for us, and something that we are grateful for as a coaching staff, and something that we will definitely use to our advantage when recruiting athletes.
Let's talk about your playing career. You mentioned USC Up State. You had a legendary career, 2-time ASUN Player of the Year, All-American. You got to the NCAA tournament 3 times. When you reflect on your career, you ended up then playing in the NPF as well. Have you had a chance to reflect on your playing career and kind of what pops into your mind when you think of your playing career?
Just exciting, just, again, grateful for the opportunity. I went to a mid-major, possibly could have gone somewhere a little bit bigger, but I wouldn't have changed any part of my path of my softball career. I got to play under really good coaches. Again, had the opportunity to get drafted and go into the NPF and learn from really good coaches and really good players who came from bigger schools. And it's just, I'm very grateful for it. Very grateful for my path and where it took me and where I am now. You always think, well, what if I would have gone somewhere else and done this? Well, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now with you, and through all the ups and downs, it's just all about the journey, and it's been super fun. And I wouldn't change any part of it for anything.
For people to put this perspective, you're a 2-time ASUN Player of the Year. There's only been 5 players in the history of the ASUN that have won the ASUN Player of the Year either 2 times or more. You're a part of that list, joining the likes of a Casey Clark, who won it in 93, 94, Georgia State, Martha Covington Campbell, 97 and 99. And then there was 2 players in the history that have won it 3 times. Nicole Myers at FAU from 2000 to 2002. And then Stephanie Best, who's won it 3 times at UCF from 03 to 05. That's some good company you're keeping there.
Yeah, absolutely. Those names are big names. And I actually just worked one of Stephanie Best's camps this past weekend, and she's just an all-around great person. So to be even in speaking terms with her as far as playing career is very, very awesome, very cool, to be able to be even close to the player that she was.
Did you just kind of get mad at her because you're like, you're not even in the, UCF's not in the league anymore. You should not have these records. I would have these records if it wasn't for you. No,
it's no hard feelings. She balled out. They were in their ASUN and she is just a beast. And so all respect to her and her playing career, and no hard feelings for her being a little bit better than me.
Well, it's like better, but she obviously, I know she thinks very highly of you. You're both ward number 3 very well there. And you mentioned, you mentioned her camps and stuff, but you got the state of Florida, such a hotbed for recruiting. How big of an advantage is that for you? How important is that for you, recruiting in the state and locally for that matter in Central Florida, where there's a lot of talent as well?
Oh, it's very important. We've got a majority of our rosters from Florida. We got one California, one Colorado. We just had a 22 commit from Illinois. So, we'll get a couple here and there from out of state, but Florida, like you said, is such a hotbed for softball, and a lot of people come down to play in Florida over the summer. So it's very easy to recruit in this state and recruit people from this state because Florida softball is played at such a high level. So it's a nice advantage for us to have, definitely being a Florida university.
You mentioned your career at Upstate. Do you have a favorite moment there? You've been to the postseason. You know what it's like to win and win big. Do you have a favorite moment from your playing career? And does that success you had at Upstate, how do you kind of carry that over as a coach into Stetson and teach the kids?
Yeah, I think a favorite moment was sophomore year when we won the ASUN Conference Championship for the first time. We went into the losers bracket, had to come back and beat Lipscomb twice on Sunday. And it was just such a team effort. Everybody played their part, did what they needed to do. And then when I caught that final out to seal the deal, it was just kind of relief, because we worked so hard at practices starting in the fall. And we had just had such a good core group of girls. And so that was probably my favorite moment. Just, all the hard work and everything had paid off for us. And it was fun to celebrate with them. But yeah, having success in the ASUN is definitely something that I can use being in the ASUN still, being at Stetson. I know my competition. I know what it takes to win at this level and win in this conference. So I think having that under my belt is something that I can use to my advantage. And then just being a competitor, being gritty and doing what it takes to win. So hopefully passing all those characteristics onto my athletes and win an ASUN championship in the next couple of years.
You hit 70 career home runs at Upstate there. Pretty remarkable. You mentioned Stephanie. Stephanie hit 71 in her career. So you both have a lot in common, really. It's kind of scary. You both also played in the NPF. You were drafted 23rd overall in the 2015 NPF draft by the Akron Racers. Played 3 seasons with Akron, was all NPF in 2017. You played a year with the Cleveland Comets. Describe your run as a pro there, what that experience was like playing among some of the best players at that time.
Oh, it was so challenging. Every person that you face is an All-American or an all-conference player from their respective universities. I got to face Kat Oshman. Her last year was my first year. And so just growing up and kind of idolizing her just because she's such a good player and such a good person was a really cool experience, hitting against Monica Abbott. But not just those big names, and obviously they were just in the Olympics, which is cool to be like, oh, I played with her, or I played against her. But it was everybody, again, every person that was in the NPF was the best of the best at their respective universities. And so just having that experience, learning from them, growing with them as players it was unreal. Honestly, it was kind of just like, hey, somebody pinch me. Am I really doing this right now? So it was an awesome experience. And then the last year with the Cleveland Comets, we were tied in with the Chinese national team. So just learning that culture. Actually, fun fact, I have 3 older brothers. My middle brother lives in China. So kind of interacting with them,
wow.
FaceTiming with him and my teammates are speaking Chinese to each other. So it was a really cool experience. And it wasn't all about softball. It was all about, meeting people and experiencing their culture and things like that. So it was a lot of fun the 4 years that I was in it. And I wouldn't have traded it for anything.
Not many people will say Kat Osterman and a cool experience facing her. What was that like as you watch the Olympics and you're seeing Kat and Monica pitch and you're thinking, wow, I faced them. And here they are still at the top of their game. Kat coming back unretired to help the U.S. team. That had to be surreal to see that.
Absolutely. And it was a lot of them because, a lot of the athletes that were on the USA team this year played in the NPF. And so again, it was like watching the Olympics with my family, and it's like, oh, hey, I played against her. I got a hit off of her. She struck me out 14 times. So it was fun. And it just really makes you realize that softball is such a small world. And it's such a people career, and it's just all about meeting people and building relationships and all that good stuff. And so it was fun. It was just, like you said, surreal kind of a moment again, watching them playing in the Olympics over in Tokyo, and just being like, hey, I played against them. That's, it's just a cool thing to say. Not a lot of people can say that.
And you mentioned Cat was like one of your idols growing up.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knew who Cat Osterman was. I was never a pitcher, and I wasn't left-handed, but you knew softball, you knew Cat. So it was just really cool to get to the NPF and be like, oh wow, I'm hitting against Cat Osterman, I'm hitting against Monica, I'm playing with so and so. It's just not a lot of people say that, and it's cool to be able to do that.
Did you get to meet her during that was that retirement year? I remember covering that. It was a retirement tour. Did you get to meet her? Did you get her to sign up an autograph for you at all? I mean, because I know I had players. There were players that would wanted to get autographs of her.
No, I did not, unfortunately, but I did have a teammate that went up to her after a game and asked her to sign a ball for her. So that was but no, not really, but again, just overall really cool experience.
Yeah, no question about that. What do you think about Athletes Unlimited now with the pro ball? Obviously, there was the news of the MPF there. What do you think about the future of pro ball in the States and with Athletes Unlimited? Because you've been a part of it, you played it, I know you enjoyed it. Can it be as successful as obviously the college game, which has exploded in popularity?
Yeah, I would hope so. It was sad to see the NPF go, but I think Athletes Unlimited has done a really good job marketing, and I think that they've got good things coming for them. I think that the style that they do it's new to people, so some people are not comfortable with it, but I think that it's modern. I think that it works, and it keeps that competitive environment. So I hope that they do really well. I hope that they continue to market themselves and grow fan base. I know they don't only do softball; they do volleyball, lacrosse, a whole bunch of other sports. And so I hope they do well. As a former NPF player, I hope that they're able to make it and to be big, because that's what you want for your sport that you played.
You mentioned obviously going from player to coach. How is Shellie Robinson the player and Shellie Robinson the coach the same, and how are they different?
The same. I'm still have that competitive fire. I'm still gritty. I still expect things to be done well and things to be done right, and at 100%, whether it's on my end or my player's end. How they're different, I'm a little more calm. I'm not as hard on my players as I was on myself. I'm not as hard on myself as I was as a player. And it's realizing that with this game, you will not have perfection. And as a player, I expected myself to be perfect. I expected to go 4 for 4 every game with 2 doubles, a triple, and a home run. And it's just not realistic. And so for me, just being able to mature and be on the other side, I think that that's helped me as a coach to be able to talk to my athletes and mentor them and lead them, and just say, hey, I was there, I was in your shoes. It's okay to fail, but don't react to your failure, respond to your failure, because I was a reactor. So how are you going to respond? How are you going to be better the next time a ball gets hit to you, the next time you get the ball in the circle? So I think just maturity and realizing that being perfect in this game is not realistic is something that's helped me on the other side of the ball.
When you obviously, as you kind of get your team now under your identity, when people go out to see Stetson softball, what do you want people to see when they see Stetson softball on the field? What's the identity that you want your program to have?
Yeah, I want to have a culture of just gritty athletes, people that are going to come on the field and they're going to compete, whether their role is to be the starting pitcher that game or their role is to be a pinch runner, whatever it is, just compete, have fun with your teammates. Enjoy these years that you've got with them. And so when I want people to see when they come to Stetson softball games is just a team that has fun with each other, but is competing at a high level. And you can tell that they've built relationships with each other and they're just having a fun time. They're enjoying their experience as a college athlete. And that's what I really want is a fun environment for the fans and a fun environment on game day for my athletes.
What's the keys now as we kind of wrap it up here, as you get into fall and then obviously start preparing for the season? What's the keys here? You mentioned your players are hungry. They want to turn this around, get back to competing in the ASUN. What's kind of the process going to be like?
I think at the beginning, it's just establishing the culture. What do we want to do? It's probably going to be a lot of team talks in the field house. A lot of really tough, fast-paced practices to get them ready for that competitive environment. A lot of good communication with each other between myself and the athletes, my staff and the athletes with each other. A lot of accountability with each other. It's a tight-knit family that we've got here, but it's also like, hey, how can I hold them accountable while also giving them a little bit of grace? How can I push them while also realizing, okay, sometimes we're going to make mistakes and we've got to just pat each other on the back type of thing. But I think the biggest thing for us is going to be establishing a culture early on. What do we want to do? Structure, all that good stuff. And then just getting them to buy into it, getting them to buy into Stetson softball and what we want to do and where we want to go with it. So that's going to be the biggest thing for us. And again, I think they're on board with it. So I'm really excited.
Do you feel you have the leaders on the team already? Is that something that kind of gets established in the fall? How do you feel about that side of things from a leadership? Because I'm sure that's one of the keys as well, is establishing your leaders that either set by example or kind of tell the players how things go to kind of build that culture you're talking about. Absolutely.
I think we have leaders already on the team. Returners, I have 3 super seniors, so they've got a lot of experience being here. And then we've got 6 freshmen coming in, and I think just watching them in travel ball and high school, I think that they all have leadership qualities. So we're going to have some that are going to lead by holding each other accountable, opening their mouth a little bit more. And then we're going to have some that are going to lead by example, by sprinting on and off the field or, picking somebody up, things like that. So I think that we're going to have a good mix of leadership on the team. And then, the staff and I are going to do a good job of being leaders, as the coaching staff, being there for them, pushing them, challenging them. So I think we've got a good mix of personalities and characteristics to really bring this in and be successful.
Well, we're excited to see your team get on the field, Coach. Congratulations. I know that a lot of people were excited when the news came out that you got the head coaching job there. I know that's something that a lot of people were kind of hoping for, and we're pleased to see when that news happened. Congrats on this. We wish you well. We're going to be following you very closely, but thank you for taking the time. I know it's a busy time, busy schedule as you kind of start building the culture there, but just congrats and thanks for joining us. We'll definitely talk to you down the road.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed my time. Hope to be talking to you soon.